off, you can see this was tightly contested, about 127 votes. That's all that separated these two challengers here from their other two. They will head to a runoff. Of course, the winner on June 18th will face the incumbent, Marjorie Taylor Greene, in November. Tomorrow, the star witness in former President Trump's hush money trial is set to take the stand. After dramatic testimony last week, Dasha Burns tonight takes a look at what Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen might reveal. 1 week from today, Morehouse College will hold its graduation. President Biden is set to deliver the commencement address there, but that decision has certainly come with some controversy. Take a look at this video from a protest against the war in Gaza during Biden's visit last week. This week, we're learning Morehouse faculty is going to vote on whether to award the president an honorary degree. Although the historically black college announced last month Biden would be awarded the honorary doctorate, it still comes down to a vote. That is expected to happen this Thursday. According to a statement from the college to NBC, that decision to vote is not because of current political affairs, but due to a mistaken oversight in the process, since a faculty vote usually happens in September. Another day, another deal. For the second straight day, one of the co-defendants in the 2020 election interference case here in Georgia strikes a deal with prosecutors. Thursday, it was attorney Sidney Powell. Friday, it's Trump campaign legal advisor Kenneth Chesborough. Joining me now is NBC's Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press. So, Kristen, the dominoes continuing to fall in this wide-ranging case, and all roads, of course, leading to former President Trump, who's also charged. What's the sense from those close to the former president on how this is going to go? How worried should he be as these other co-defendants decide how to help out prosecutors? The election just a little over a year away. Kristen, we heard some disturbing details this week from Georgia Republican Congressman Drew Ferguson, who says he received death threats over his votes for Speaker of the House, a contentious battle there in Washington. He's referring to Ohio's Jim Jordan when he said the Republican conference does not need a bully as Speaker. He quoted that. Jordan failing again earlier today on a third try for the gavel. You're going to talk with former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, we understand, on Sunday's Meet the Press. So how does the Republican Party fix this mess of their own making, really, and get this government going again? That aid up in the air, Kristen. And on Meet the Press this Sunday, you're also going to talk, we understand, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who recently just traveled to the Middle East. So what's the sense there of how President Biden's speech last night is resonating in terms of support for both Israel and Ukraine? New tonight, a former GOP county chair in Georgia allegedly played multiple roles in ongoing legal drama surrounding former President Donald Trump and election probes in 2 Georgia counties. We are connecting the dots. New at 6, Fulton County is looking for poll workers ahead of this March's presidential primary. The Department of Registration and Elections held a recruitment fair today. To be qualified for the job, you have to be a U.S. citizen and over the age of 16. You must also live in Fulton County or in surrounding counties. On election day, you can make up to $400. We spoke earlier to the voter education manager about why this is so important. Tonight, new civil court filings now accuse Fulton County Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade of buying airline tickets for District Attorney Fonnie Willis. The filing includes credit card statements that back up the claim, according to his wife's attorneys. 11 Alive's Zach Merchant has been digging through the documents and has this breakdown tonight. And DA Willis's team has said they will only respond to these allegations in court filings of their own. 11 Alive, of course, is going to stay on top of this story for you. For now, you can head to our website, 11alive.com, to see a further breakdown of what these new documents are showing. A big week expected for former President Donald Trump. After campaigning in Iowa this weekend, he could be in Atlanta, our neck of the woods, later this week, facing more legal battles. If you're a Republican in this current presidential field, Chuck, what are you thinking right now? What's your strategy to try and gain some traction in the polls? We've been out here all day outside the Fulton County Courthouse. As you can see behind me, this portion of Pryor Street has been blocked really all week long. You can see the Fulton County Sheriff's deputies' vehicles blocking this portion from MLK Drive all the way up to Mitchell Street, about a block up north that way. So for us, we got a test early on this morning about just how full the Fulton County Sheriff's Office hands are when they came in contact with some protesters here on a completely unrelated matter.
They kept blowing their sirens. I can barely hear anything right now.
Easing into the week.
If you do not disperse, you may be arrested.
Is no easy task, especially at the Fulton County Courthouse. Inside, a grand jury heard testimony related to Georgia's 2020 election. This group of people say, though, they want to exercise their right to protest.
People are allowed to walk back and forth right there, and there's no one stopping them whatsoever. We have a legal right to protest on the sidewalk.
Kamau Franklin led the protesters.
Cop City will never be built!
Intent on blocking the building of a new Atlanta Public Safety Training Center, the group confronted Fulton County deputies who kept diverting the protesters around the courthouse, where security has increased in the weeks ahead of a decision to indict.
All they're doing is trying to score political points. And that's why we're out here to say, if you care about so-called democracy, you have to care about democracy no matter who is trying to exercise it.
We asked the Fulton County Sheriff's Office how protests like these might impact security measures in and out of the courthouse. A spokesperson sent us this statement saying the corner of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Central Avenue is designated for First Amendment protected activities like protesting. They have been directed there. This does not affect anything at the courthouse. The sheriff has not told us how much manpower is devoted to keep the peace during the grand jury proceedings, but said it and other law enforcement would remain vigilant throughout the week. It is very notable. Inside the courthouse, outside the courthouse, we've noticed more security, even K9 units walking around just moments ago. Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt told me earlier this month that he would be working with local, state, and federal law enforcement to secure this area, keep it safe, protect protesters, while at the same time assessing any security threats. In an election that has been under contention for several years now. You mentioned Georgia as the political center, it seems like, of the South at the very least, if not the entire country, making history in 2020, making history in 2021. Here we are in 2023, and yet more history to be made here tonight. You can see the security measures that have been in place for much of the last week. The former president is engaged in legal battles up and down the eastern seaboard. He's also engaged in a fierce competition to become the Republican nominee to challenge current President Joe Biden in the 2024 presidential election. We know how much Georgia played a role in 2020. Imagine what it will be like next year amid all of these legal battles. A third defendant will avoid a trial in the Fulton County election case against former President Trump. Kenneth Chesborough pleaded guilty to one felony count today, just as the process to start picking a jury for his trial got underway. Chesborough was set to go to trial on Monday, but now will get out of that case with no prison time and likely with his law license still intact. That chair, which seats the Speaker of the U.S. House, remains without a permanent occupant after a third vote fails to fill it. We're joined now by NBC's Chris Pallone, joining us live from Washington. Chris, where do we stand at this hour? Because some Republicans in Congress have raised concerns over how Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio tried to persuade some others to vote for him. We're seeing this play out with fewer votes each in each round. Now Jordan has failed. Why first, Chris, did Jordan not work as the answer? And this is especially critical, Chris, this race to search for a House Speaker, because President Biden has made it very clear to formally request aid for Israel and Ukraine from Congress, but that can't happen until there's a new House Speaker, right? Developing right as we speak. We understand Tuesday might be the earliest a new vote for House Speaker could occur. So, Chris, Democrats continuing to put forth Congressman Hakeem Jeffries from New York as an alternate. For Republicans, if not Jordan, then who emerges as their next potential contender? Tonight, we're learning a little more about the health of former president and Georgia's own Jimmy Carter. This week, we sat down with his grandson, former state senator Jason Carter. He shared that the former president is, quote, coming to the end, but adds that he also knows that, according to Jason, he's not in charge. Jason Carter also sharing a moment he had with his grandfather last year as the Carter Center collected well wishes for the former president's 99th birthday. Only on 11 Alive, a national organization is now calling on Governor Brian Kemp to meet with families torn apart by accusations of abuse. And it's now been 2 months since Princess Kate temporarily stepped back from public life following what Kensington Palace said at the time was surgery for a non-cancerous abdominal condition. Mike Valerio has more.